Hello everyone. Today is April 22nd, 2025, and in case you didn't know, of course, yesterday on the 21st we had the passing of Pope Francis, and I had just done a video on the 20th, the day before he passed, about the 1033rd Mercury anniversary and its connection to Oppenheimer, the Trinity test, and the San Jacinto monument, all in relation to this 220. Eurotrip was released on 2/20/2004, and the San Jacinto monument has a 220-ton star on the top of the monument, and it was dedicated on April 23rd, or April 21st, 1939, and Pope Francis passed away on the 86th anniversary of the dedication of the San Jacinto monument. And it's interesting that we have 1939 here because the Pope's funeral is expected to be on Saturday, which will be the 39th anniversary of the Chernobyl disaster. Okay? And Chernobyl means wormwood in Ukrainian, and that's what my channel is all about. And he actually also died 39 days after the 12th anniversary of his papacy. That would have been 3/13/2025 was his 12th anniversary, and he died 39 days after that. His funeral will be on the 39th year anniversary of the Chernobyl incident. And I made this community post this morning. I had mentioned this Eurotrip, and in Eurotrip, the Pope dies, quote unquote. They someone rings the bell in the movie, indicating the Pope dies when they're visiting the Vatican. And in the movie Eurotrip as well, they're drinking absinthe, and absinthe is wormwood. Right, and that's what my channel is all about. Revelation 8:11, the falling wormwood star. And Revelation 8:11 has an ordinal Gematria value of 1377. Artemisia absinthium, wormwood. And we had the death of Michelle Trachtenberg, who was in this movie as well, and all of her numbers connect to wormwood as well. So we'll thank Widow's Son for sending that over to me, but there's a wormwood and Pope connection in the movie Eurotrip, and I had mentioned it the day before Pope Francis died. And in my community post, I wrote here, on 2/20/2004, Eurotrip was released, and it was 7731 days before Pope Francis' death. And 7731 is the reflection of 1377, the ordinal Gematria value of Revelation 8:11. Right? 1377, the reflection. Okay. And I left a little clip here. You can watch it. Of course, that movie is really funny, but super interesting that we have this Eurotrip connection with the Pope and wormwood, all connecting to Pope Francis. He has a very, very wormwood-connected death. Being that his funeral will be on the anniversary of the Wormwood or Chernobyl disaster. And what's also interesting is that 39, I wrote here, here's the Gematria of 220, and 39 equals 165 ordinal, 39 reduction, and 39 is, the factorization is 3 times 13, right? Just like the day he was, his papacy started, 3/13, okay? And 3/13s, 13 is the 6th prime number, so the 6th prime plus the 6th prime plus the 6th prime equals 39. So there's your 666. And 165 is interesting as well, because 165 is the 9th tetrahedral number, and 220 just happens to be the 10th tetrahedral number. And those tetrahedral numbers are pyramidal numbers. Okay? And I don't think I have it up right now, but They're fairly rare numbers, but so the 9th and 10th tetrahedral numbers are related to this 220. Okay, and I showed you that San Jacinto monument has this 220-ton star, and the release of Eurotrip 220. Now, I talked about birth certificates, and I showed Obama's, right? Obama released his birth certificate on April 27th, 2011. And it's interesting because that we're coming up on the 14th anniversary in 5 days here of the release of this birth certificate. And that's just going to happen to land on a new moon, which is going to be lunation 1266. And if we look at the millennium lunation, we subtract 953 to get the millennium lunation. It's also going to be millennium lunation 313. So there's our 313 again. So the 14th anniversary of the release of the Obama's birth certificate is going to be on millennium lunation 313. And we have the Pope with 313, and all the 39 is related to 313. 3 times 13 is 39. We have the 39 anniversary, Chernobyl, 39 days after his papacy on 313. And, right, and the surrounding Trinity, this is the Trinity site. I showed you in the last video that the San Jacinto Monument reflecting pool points directly to the Trinity site. And the Trinity site is circled by a 14-sided shape here. I'm not sure what that's called. It probably has a name, but I never looked it up. But it has 14 sides that are surrounding the Trinity test. Okay. But super interesting that we had this on the 21st, coinciding with all these anniversaries, the 1033rd Mercury anniversary, the San Jacinto anniversary, Oppenheimer's 121st birthday is today. And the reason we're looking at all these 220s, I want to show you here. The San Jacinto Monument is a memorial, or a commemorates the site of the Battle of San Jacinto. So this is like a memorial monument, right? And I've been talking all about the 220, and has a 220-ton star. And I want to have you take a look at this word memorial. The definition: an object often large and made of stone that has been built to honor a famous person or event. Okay, so that would be, obviously, the San Jacinto Monument would fall into this category as memorial. But memorial also means a ceremony to remember someone who has died, which usually takes place after they have been buried or cremated. Okay, so a ceremony to remember someone who has died, right? That's also a memorial. Now, the reason this kind of moved my timeline up, and this isn't going to be the complete video, part 2 video, but we're going to look at Minnesota, and we're going to look at Minnesota Rule 220, and it has to do with birth certificates. Okay, this is called the General Rules of Practice for the District Courts, and we'll go down here, and we'll find 220. You can see it's under, where are we at here? Went past it here. Title 3, Registration of Land Titles. So here's all the registration of land title stuff here. And we can find birth certificates under Minnesota 220. So our first clue is that a birth certificate is a land title. So we'll look at the General Rules of Practice, Rule 220, birth certificates. The Registrar of Titles is authorized to receive for registration of memorials upon any outstanding certificate of title, an official birth certificate pertaining to a registered owner, and said certificate of title showing the date of birth of said registered owner, providing there is attached to said birth certificate an affidavit of an affiant who states that he or she is familiar with the facts recited, stating that the party named in said birth certificate is the same party as one of the owners named in said certificate of title, and thereafter the registrar of titles shall treat the said registered owner as having attained the age of majority at a date of 18 years after the date of birth shown by said certificate. Now, obviously, the part we're looking at here is the registrar of titles authorized fee for registration of memorials, right? Memorial, all this stuff to 220, but related to the 220 I've been looking at. But this, if you read this over and over, there's a lot of words in here that you don't know the meaning of, right? Like, we have memorial, right? Which means either a large object made of stone, or it means a ceremony to remember someone who has died. Okay? So I'm not going to go through all of this, exactly what it is, but if you don't understand a word here, right? So like this memorial, just go find the definition. You might have to look in a dictionary or a legal dictionary, find the definition, and then insert the definition where the word is, right? Memorial is money. Outstanding. What is outstanding? Outstanding refers to something that remains unpaid, unfulfilled, or unsettled, right? So all the stuff here that you don't understand or know, just insert the definition, and then you'll have a better understanding of what this is really saying, okay? And I'm not going to go through with you with it right now. Like I said, it kind of moved my timeline up. I want to cover this in more depth, of course, but just take a look at this. But it's super interesting, all this birth certificate stuff that I was mentioning. And then the 220, right? We had the ships collide and spill 220,000 barrels of fuel, and 9/11, a total of 220 stories combined with the Twin Towers. But all this stuff has to do with birth certificates. And the key part is here, that you're familiar with the facts recited. So they want you to submit something to the Registrar of Titles that is in relation to this memorial to remember someone who has died. Okay? Now I'm going to leave 2 links in the description, and by no means is it any kind of definitive and complete amount of information for you to totally understand what's going on, but it's to get you to understand who died here, okay? Who died in this memorial that they're talking about, and it's all about your estate, okay? Your estate is contained in that birth certificate, and it's outstanding, right? It's unfulfilled, it's unclaimed. So I'm going to leave a couple links in the description. Just 2 videos at about 1 hour and 45 minutes worth of information, just so you have a better understanding. Like I said, it's just a minimum amount of information just to barely get started, but it's good information so you understand what they're talking about here, what you understand what this birth certificate is, right? Right? Like I said, we have Trump in office right now, and he had the big, thing with Obama and his birth certificate, right? There was a dispute in his place of birth, right? And he came out and said he was born in Hawaii, right? And there's the live birth. There's a definition for Hawaii of live birth. Live birth is a complete expulsion or extraction from its mother, a product of conception, right? And if you look at Hawaii, Hawaii does not define what a product of conception is. So we have to look to a state that does define it, and the product of conception, right? The current definition, any tissue, fluid, placenta, umbilical cord, or other uterine contents resulting from pregnancy. Products of conception do not include a fetus or fetal body parts, right? So it doesn't include the baby. It doesn't include you, okay? A live birth has nothing to do with you. That's why the certificate of live birth, right? Certification of live birth, it's not you, it's something else. It's a memorial. It's a ceremony to remember someone who has died. Okay, like I said, I'll leave 2 links in the description, and I'll let you listen to it and kind of figure it out on your own. Like I said, if you don't understand a definition, go look it up and then put the words from the definition right into the sentence you're trying to figure out, and that'll help you get an understanding, because you have to have an understanding of this to continue on here. So we'll start with that. But yeah, outstanding, memorial, just super synchronistic with this Euro trip and the 1033rd United States anniversary. Yeah, everything has just worked out perfect here for our Wormwood ritual, the 1377. Okay, guys, like I said, I will leave a link to those two videos in the description and in the first comment. Check them out, give you an understanding. Like I said, it's not any kind of definitive and complete that's going to give you everything you need to know, but it's a good start. Okay, but yep, check this video out. I mean, this movie Euro Trip is actually pretty funny, but I left a link to the video, and then here's the information. Euro Trip, and then of course Michelle Trachtenberg in Euro Trip, born on Oct 11/8/11, died on 2/26. All Wormwood numbers, all numbers that I've been talking about for many years now. So, okay, guys, thanks for watching.